This is Tehuti coming to you live from Eureka Park Recreation Center. Today is October the 5th, 2019. The topic for today is reparations for the black African American descendants of slaves in the United States of America. Today's topic, as you have been advised, is to consider what is the proper reparations for the descendants of slaves here in the United States of America. Reparations is defined by Webster's Collegiate Dictionary as repairing or keeping in repair or giving as amends or satisfaction for a wrong or injury. On June the 19th, activists and lawmakers gathered for a House Judiciary Subcommittee hearing on the topic of reparations, whether the United States government should provide reparations for the descendants of slaves. The issue gained momentum in a House bill, H.R. 40, that would establish a congressional commission to study and develop reparation proposals. Actors Danny Glover and Ta-Nehisi Coates testified at a hearing on reparations on Capitol Hill on June the 19th, 2019. Proposals included funds for eligible recipients in the amount of $40,000 to $60,000 per person, home ownership or business development or institution support for historical black colleges and universities, or significant direct payment to eligible recipients. The question of today is not just what is the proper remedy and reparations for the African American nation, but one of the most important essential parts of that is freedom. Without freedom, there can be no proper remedy for the enslavement of a people who is subjected to the rules and regulations and control and domination of another people here in the United States of America. So as we seek the proper reparations for the African American nation, we must take a historical account about slavery and the conditions of the African Americans and the inception of slavery, not just here in the United States of America, but had it occurred as it occurred in ancient times. This is just not a United States issue. This issue developed under prophethood. When we go back to the time of Noah, we knew that Noah was supposedly had cursed his son, Ham, to be servants of his brethren, the Caucasian Gentile Japhet, and his Hebrew biracial brother Shem. As the scripture says, this particular curse was carried out by the Hebrew people, by the Christian people, and by the Islamic people, recorded in the Torah, Bible, and the Quran, institutional slavery. That's what we're talking about. So, here in the United States, we have been subjected to slavery for more than 400 years. We're not free yet. So when we look at the conditions of the people, we're not just in physical slavery, we're in mental, moral, and physical slavery here in the United States of America. So what shall we do as a remedy? When they met on Capitol Hill, they spoke about individual reparations for specific persons. But as we know, the conditions of the black man here in the United States of America, it was due to our race, color, ethnic, and national origin. It wasn't just an individual question. It was a question that dealt with the whole class of blacks held in captivity here in the United States of America. So we just can't allow a few individuals to be pacified with a remedy of funds when the whole class and race of black descendants of slaves here in the United States of America is suffering. For too long, the United States government has bought out our leaders and our organizations and our movements by pacifying and paying off the so-called leaders here that propose to be our representatives. So today we know that in order to effect any type of remedy, we must first be free. We must have our own representative government to represent us in our place. This government is one of the essential things that the African American descendants of slaves failed to have at this stage of our struggle. With a proper representative government, we can build the institutions necessary to sustain us. If we were to receive trillions of dollars, that wouldn't compensate the sufferings that we lost during forced chattel slavery, forced segregation, and forced integration. So we have lost our mind, body, soul, and spirit during our enslavement here in the United States of America. So we must have a government to develop and represent our cause of reparations, not just here against the United States of America, but against all those nations who participated in the slave trade. This is not just a one country, one for all solution. This is a national and international problem that extends across the United States of America. So for us to properly address this issue, we must have our representatives of our government to negotiate political solutions for this problem. This problem was addressed through the 13th Amendment to the constitutional law of the United States of America. It's a political question, and it's an administrative question. Many court cases have taken up the question of slavery and reparations and have failed to acquire any type of judicial remedy in the judicial branch of government because the government, the courts, has always hid behind the 11th Amendment immunity, claiming that the United States and its citizens are immune from liability for the conditions of slavery. And so now we must take this question to Congress, not in the subcommittee, but we must take it to the floor. Our representative governments, we must solicit signatures, sufficient signatures to take this matter to Congress for a congressional hearing. And this is what is missing. We don't want no subcommittee hearing. We want a full congressional hearing before the House and the Senate. So this is the things that we must consider in our struggle for full and complete freedom, justice, and equality. And this is something that all black African Americans must be considering at this time. Without full and complete freedom, self-government, and a homeland of our own, we can never be repaired or restored back to the rightful position among the world community as a free and sovereign people who is entitled to a seat at the table of the world community like any other nation. We should be sitting at the table of the United Nations, addressing the affairs of ourselves as well as the affairs of humanity like all other civilized nations of the earth are allowed to do. So it's time for us to step up with our political entity, our corporate government, and begin to act as a free and independent nation. One of the things I want to share with you today is the corporate government, the bylaws and corporate program for the African American nation. Article 4 of the bylaws and corporate program of the African American nation, the citizenry of the African American nation shall have a national government made up of a corporate board of directors. A, the corporate board of directors shall include no less than 9 directors, 1 for each region. B, the African American nation shall have a president, a vice president, a chief executive director, a treasurer, a secretary of state, a chief of security, and other appointed and elected officers and departments. C, the registered agent upon formation of the African American nation shall serve as director, president, and appoint officers of the African American nation. D, this bylaws and corporate program plan establishes a national standard for unity, organization, cooperation, progress, management, direction, and goals for the African American nation and people secured and maintained by law. This bylaws and corporate program plan applies to all registered and non-registered members of the African American nation. The organizational infrastructure of the African American nation shall be divided into 9 regions. Region 1 shall include Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. Region 2 shall include Connecticut, New York, and Vermont. Region 3 shall include Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Wyoming. Region 4 shall include Washington, D.C., Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. Region 5 shall include Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. Region 6 shall include Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee, Arkansas, Kansas, New Mexico. Region 7 shall include Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Utah. Region 8 shall include Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. And finally, Region 9 shall include Alaska, Arizona, California, Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington State. All right, paragraph 5, descendants of slaves and freed African Americans. The African American nation shall advocate and promote national unity, human rights, civil liberties, sovereignty, welfare, self-government, reparations, and a homeland and nation state secured and maintained by law pursuant to Article 3 and Section 4 and Article 6 and 7, Amendments 9, 13, 14 to the Constitution and laws of the United States. So as we form our corporate government for the African American nation, we will choose delegates, representatives, and other assistants to form our government here in the United States of America. For far too long, we have listened to our leaders promote and present issues to us concerning the conditions and affairs as we stand here in America. But no one has proposed or stepped up to the plate to take the initiative to build our representative government. Without unity, without law, without institutions, without a system, we have no basis for unity. We have no basis to combat these conditions. So we must unify as a nation, a corporate nation, an African-American nation. We must be willing to stand up and represent our nation and fly our flag, the red, black, and green African-American national flag. And for all of you who are really, truly concerned about the conditions we live in here in America, and our reparations, and our entitlement to full and complete freedom, self-government, sovereignty, and a homeland of our own, then you should join the African-American nation and be a part of this wonderful movement. This is our time. This is the time of the black man here in the United States of America to rise up and accept our own and begin to build our nation and be a free people and act like a free people that we are. Other parts of the reparation issue included representatives who are running for Congress, who are running for presidency of the United States of America. The question we pose to them today is, what are you going to do for the African-American nation? You say you're concerned with the reparations for the black man here in America, then what are you going to do towards reparations? Are you going to support us in our movement for full and complete freedoms, self-government, and a homeland of our own? Are you going to support us in the material needs that we have? We worked for 400 years building the United States of America. Now it's time for our share. We demand our share. As citizens of the United States of America, we feel that part of the United States of America should be shared with us. There has been several proposals during the years for reparations, for separations. We don't want just separation. We want full and complete freedom. We're not an isolated people who attempt to isolate ourselves in pockets of segregated areas in the United States of America. We want full and complete freedom and a right to self-determination to conduct commerce, trade with other nations of the earth like a free people as a government. This is what we want. This is our reparations. We feel that the same way that we supported the United States of America with our free labor for over 150 years, then America should support us in our material, technical, capital, human needs as we build our nation. We feel that we should be entitled to at least 5 states to begin to transition into full and complete freedom, self-government, and a homeland of our own. Now, you can take the political way out, which is the best remedy for you and for us, or we will choose any means necessary. But we will be a free and complete, free and self-governed people by law or by any means necessary. We choose to go through the political process, and that is the best process for our people at this time in order to make a smooth transition into our reparations. So this is a lot to think about. I suggest that you, America, you think about it, and I suggest to you, the African American people, and the other people here in the United States of America, We are coming into our own. We're becoming politically conscious, and we want our reparations. With that, I'll conclude for now. I'm not coming to you in my name. As we do in any important event in the African American Nation and Church, we come in the name of Amen Ra, the Holy Spirit, and we feel that we are a divine community developed by God Himself. So with that, I conclude for today, and I greet you in peace. Hotep.